I was standing in the back row of Moscone West in San Francisco, packed shoulder to shoulder with tech bros and angel investors, when the lights dimmed and Jared Michaels walked out on stage like he was Steve Jobs. The crowd clapped like he just cured cancer. Me? I just stood there frozen, staring at the massive screen behind him. Because right there, blown up 20 feet tall, was my code. Not a knockoff, not a rewrite. My actual algorithm. Same structure, same flow, even the same dumb log comment I forgot to delete 5 years ago. Equal MH, July 12th, verify thread lock. My initials. My date. Hidden down in the weeds where only I would ever look. Jared didn't even flinch. He clicked to the next slide, kept talking like I didn't exist. No shout out, no credit. No mention of the guy who built the thing that made this whole company possible. I felt like a ghost watching someone else live the life I built from scratch. Quick note before we dive deeper. Before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. My name's Marcus Hale. I'm 39. I live in Oakland, California, and that was the moment I knew I'd been played. Jared and I met at a hackathon in Berkeley. I was 24, broke as hell, sleeping on a friend's couch and living on 2 for $1 ramen. But I was good. Scary good. Jared saw it. He offered me a job at his startup, Apollo Systems, which later became Juno. I didn't ask many questions. I just wanted in. I built distributed systems until 3 in the morning for years, believing in the mission, the dream, all that crap. What I didn't understand back then was contracts or equity. I didn't have a lawyer for the deal, didn't read the fine print. They gave me stock options that were basically monopoly money. Jared pitched it like family. We win together. That line aged like milk. I remember the first time I saw a production dashboard light up using my algorithm. The speed boost was unreal. Our whole back end ran leaner. Juno scaled fast, made millions. I got a t-shirt with the logo and a pizza party. So, yeah, standing there in that auditorium, watching Jared take a bow from my work. That burned. Not just because he stole it, but because I let him. I handed over the keys to my own kingdom like a fool, and the bastard didn't even look my way once. I didn't clap. I didn't move. I turned around and walked out the side exit while he was still talking. I already knew what I was going to do next. I'd spent $40. I barely had to file the paperwork. Got a discount through a friend of a friend who knew this crusty old patent lawyer, Harold Bishop, who was half retired and living in Vallejo. We met in a diner. I bought him black coffee and eggs. He charged me 1/5 of his usual rate because I reminded him of his son, some other broke genius who never caught a break. Harold made it airtight. We even wrote in a clause that if the algorithm was ever embedded into commercial infrastructure without licensing, I had full right to seek enforcement. Nobody noticed. Nobody cared. Because at the time, it was just theory. Now, it was everything. I spent the next few days going over the language again, line by line. Harold was smart, thorough. I had legal leverage, real and buried deep. Jared had built the kingdom, sure, but the cornerstone still had my name etched into it. And now that he'd laughed in my face, I was going to dig it up. No emails, no Slack messages, no threats. I kept showing up to work like nothing happened, but I was done playing checkers. He'd been treating me like a pawn. Fine. He was about to find out what happens when the pawn walks across the board. I played it cool, showed up early, smiled at interns, dropped comments in Slack about how excited I was for the next sprint. Nobody suspected a thing. Jared probably thought the little raise stunt had scared me back into line. Perfect. Every night, I stayed late. Debugging production, I told them, but I was combing through every repo that touched back-end logic. Any function that even breathed near my algorithm, I cloned and dumped into a private Git instance offline, time-stamped, hashed, and backed up to cold storage. I labeled everything by commit ID, tagged every line they reused, every module they piggybacked from the original architecture. It was all there. They hadn't even tried to mask it. Hell, some of the code still had my old comment style. Lazy and arrogant. My favorite combo in a thief. I kept my tone upbeat in stand-ups, offered to optimize some data processing routines that were, shocker, already running on my system. I made it easy for them to lean on me again. Then I pitched the debug module, sold it as a passive telemetry tool to monitor memory load and thread contention. Internal QA visibility, I called it. Jared called it genius, said I was a godsend, told the team to prioritize it in the next release cycle. Inside that module was a heartbeat ping that fired every 12 minutes. It sent anonymized usage data, legal, documented, buried in plain sight, to a private server I controlled under a shell domain. No payloads, no user data, just clean metric logs showing one thing: how often the system called my algorithm. By the end of April, I had over 6 million pings. That was just the start. The more traffic we scaled, the more my code lit up. Distributed load balancer, fraud detection module, AI query parser, all of it still depended on my original engine. I packaged everything into a 60-page dossier, annotated, cross-referenced, time-stamped. I even included the original patent filing, just for flavor. I didn't print it. I didn't even save it on company hardware. This wasn't evidence. It was a weapon. And I was done waiting. I still remembered Everett Cho, CEO of RiftCloud. I'd met him at some overfunded engineering gala 5 years back. I was awkward, full of cheap wine, and rambling about architecture theory. Everett was the only exec who didn't check his phone halfway through the conversation. We talked for an hour about container sprawl and GPU bottlenecks. He gave me his card, said, "If they ever stop listening to you, call me." That line stayed in my head. I found the card in an old notebook shoved behind my router. Yellowed edges, cell number written in pen. I stared at it for a minute. Then I picked up the phone, called once. No answer. Second ring, he picked up. "Marcus Hale," he said. "How bad did they screw you?" I didn't answer that yet, just told him I had a document he needed to see, and that I didn't trust email. Everett didn't press. Just said, "You want to meet in person or send it?" "I'll send it," I told him, "but not all at once." I split the dossier into 3 encrypted chunks, each with a unique key, and sent them over Signal with staggered unlock times. First one hit at midnight, second at 2:45 a.m., the last dropped at 4:30. I didn't sleep. I watched the server logs roll in and waited. By sunrise, I had a reply. Jesus Christ. Get on a plane. He booked the ticket himself, first class to Geneva, Sunday night. By Monday morning, I was sitting across from him in a polished boardroom with a glass wall that looked out over the Swiss Alps. He didn't waste time with small talk, just pointed to the folder in front of him. "This isn't just solid," he said. "It's surgical." I nodded. Took me a while. Everett leaned back. "You want cash or control?" "Both," I said, "but you're only getting the patent." "And you're sure you want to let it go?" I thought about that. I really did. But owning something only matters if you've got the teeth to protect it. I wasn't going to spend the next 2 years fighting Juno in court, bleeding money while they stalled. Everett had the lawyers, the reach, the will. I want it in hands that can bury them, I said. By Wednesday, we had a deal. By Friday, the patent was legally and officially owned by RiftCloud Incorporated. And just like that, the ground under Juno's infrastructure turned into a legal minefield. I flew back to Oakland that night. Didn't go back to the office. Just waited. Took about 3 days for the first tremors. A few client tickets came in marked urgent. Something about inconsistent query results, latency spikes in fraud detection, back-end lag during load tests, minor bugs on the surface, just noise to most teams. But I knew what they were, side effects. Without realizing it, they'd updated a core service that depended on one of my protected modules. The debug ping caught it, logged it, time-stamped it. They were tripping their own wire. I smiled. This was the echo before the quake. Everett didn't hesitate. His legal team sent the cease and desist right on schedule. 47 pages, timestamps, usage metrics, call traces, and the full patent lineage, filed in California and mirrored in Switzerland, just to twist the knife. It landed in Juno's general counsel inbox at exactly 8 a.m. Monday morning. By 8:07, I saw the Slack messages start flying in. Emergency legal sync? Who touched fraud detection? Why are we getting pinged by RiftCloud's lawyers? I didn't say a word, just watched the threads unravel like frayed rope. Their whole product stack rested on code they no longer had the right to use. And now they knew it. They were trapped. Because removing my code meant breaking their product, and keeping it meant getting sued into dust. By noon that same Monday, the building smelled like panic. People were pacing in circles, talking in half whispers. Legal blocked off a conference room with those cheap frosted doors no one ever used. Engineering managers started canceling their stand-ups and slipping into emergency sinks. The CTO didn't show up at all. By Tuesday, 3 engineers resigned. One contract got pulled, a big one, healthcare analytics, worth mid-7 figures. Word spread fast that RiftCloud was offering the same service for cheaper, faster, and with none of the legal risk. I didn't say a word. I kept my head down, stuck to my tickets, and waited for the shuffle. Wednesday morning, HR called me in and said I was being transitioned to support engineering. No reduction in pay, just a shift in focus. Sounded like exile wrapped in PR. I nodded, played dumb. Support division had no meetings, no stand-ups, barely any oversight. I used the time to quietly clone everything. Internal wikis, Slack threads, Jira tickets, legal briefings, even that one passive-aggressive email chain from Jared titled Urgent Alignment on Product Ownership. I knew what was coming. I'd seen it before. The second the truth starts costing people money, they rewrite the story. So I backed up receipts. Friday morning came the all-hands. Jared stood at the front like nothing was burning. Same Patagonia vest. Same polished smile. Even had the nerve to joke about a wild week. Then he called the legal stuff a misunderstanding. Said RiftCloud's cease and desist was based on a patent interpretation difference, and that their lawyers were working through it. Claimed our product stood on years of internal innovation. That last line got a few nods, a couple nervous claps. I didn't move, just watched. The same afternoon, RiftCloud dropped a press release announcing their new product line, Rift Core, built on a proprietary engine optimized for distributed low-latency data processing. The engine was mine, supercharged, upgraded, and already deployed to 4 Fortune 500 clients who used to belong to us. The market noticed. Fast. By Monday, Juno's CTO had deactivated his LinkedIn. Tuesday, I got the summons. Jared wants to see you, our admin said. Wouldn't make eye contact. I walked into his office. Same glass walls, same smug scent of overpriced cologne. He stood up when I came in, like we were old war buddies, smiled, offered me a water like we were friends. I'll cut to it, he said. We want to make this right. I just stared. You've been with us since day one. You built the damn heart of this company. I want to bring you in as senior architect. Real equity this time. No vesting bullshit. You'll be part of the turnaround. I leaned against the chair, arms crossed. He went on. You've still got it, Marcus. I know that. We all do. Let's build the next phase together. I waited till he stopped talking. Then I said, You already had me. And you pissed it away. His jaw tensed. I pushed off the chair and walked out. Didn't shake his hand, didn't look back, and I didn't go back to support either. I knew he'd try to spin the next chapter, wrote me back in as the guy who helped fix it. But I was done being part of the cleanup crew. Let the whole thing burn. I didn't wait for an invite. I knew exactly where the boardroom was. Top floor, west wing, glass doors, reinforced smug. I took the elevator straight up, buzzed the front desk, and when the assistant asked if I had an appointment, I said, Tell Margaret Dane Marcus Hales, here to return a favor. I didn't sit. Inside, the room smelled like lemon polish and fear. Margaret stood at the head of the table, wearing the kind of blazer you only see in corporate propaganda videos. Jared was there too, off to the side, silent now. No more speeches. Margaret didn't look surprised. Mr. Hale, she said, arms folded. You're not on the agenda. I stepped in and shut the door behind me. Don't need to be. She waited. So did the others. CFO legal. Maybe some investors on Zoom muted with their cameras off. The kind of people who only show up when someone's losing money. You remember what you called me when I started? I said. Junior back-end specialist. Like I was a temp in a server closet. Margaret gave me a tight smile. That was many years ago. And this isn't the time for a personal grievance. This isn't personal, I said. It's systemic. You built this whole company on theft, denial, and PR spin. And now it's collapsing. I disagree, she said, voice clipped. But I assume that's not why you came up here. I came to make sure you knew this doesn't end with Jared. She exhaled like I was a child throwing a tantrum. Let's be adults. I stepped closer. I gave you years. I built the product that paid for this room. And when I asked for basic respect, you laughed me off and fed me to him. I pointed at Jared without looking. You don't get to play shocked now. She raised her chin, signaling the legal guy. He tapped something on his tablet but stayed silent. Then she turned back to me. You want credit? You'll have it, quietly. We can frame this as a regrettable oversight. You sign a mutual walkaway. No fault. We settle it clean. That's not why I'm here, I said. Then what do you want? The truth to stink, not just to surface, to rot through every floor of this place that got under her skin. The mask cracked just a little. You're writing a story, she said, voice lower now, and you don't realize how dangerous that is. I smiled. You built your kingdom on sand, Margaret. All I did was pull the first stone. No one moved, not a sound. One exec started closing his laptop like he wanted to disappear. I turned and walked out without another word. They didn't try to stop me, didn't call security, didn't even whisper, just stared like I'd walked through the wall instead of the door. Downstairs, people avoided eye contact. One of the interns who used to ask me for code reviews turned and fake-checked his phone as I passed. I didn't care. I wasn't a ghost anymore. I was the tremor. 3 hours later, the email hit. Subject line, notice of security breach, internal review triggered. They were accusing me of unauthorized data access. Margaret's opening move. She wasn't going to argue in meetings or Slack threads. No, she was coming through the shadows. Legalese, HR, whispers behind closed doors. She wanted to erase me with process, not volume. I stared at the screen for a second. Then I started backing up more files. The second I read the word breach, I called Everett. He picked up on the first ring. They're coming for you already, he said. Full spin mode, I said. They're calling it unauthorized data access, trying to pin a leak on me. He didn't even pause. Send me the original email. We'll handle it. By noon the next day, RiftCloud filed a subpoena for Juno's internal audit logs. Grounds, whistleblower retaliation. The paperwork hit with precision. Dates, statutes, legal references stacked like dominoes. Margaret wanted to play chess in the dark. Everett played war with sunlight. That same afternoon, Reddit lit up. A few anonymous threads popped up on r/Tech Insider and r/Engineering Gossip. Titles like Juno Dev goes rogue after Ray's denial and was the algorithm stolen or sabotage. One thread had a blurry photo of me from a hackathon in college, shirt half untucked, face angled like I was mid-rant. Caption read, "This guy's been unstable for years." It didn't take a genius to see the pattern. They were seeding chaos. Enough noise to make people squint when they read my name. Even truth gets blurry in fog. I wasn't panicking, but I needed proof, real proof. So I called Danica Reyes. She lived in New York now, ran a cybersecurity firm that handled quiet fixes for loud companies. We were dorm mates at MIT. She once broke into the campus Wi-Fi firewall on a dare and replaced the admin login screen with a dancing frog. She answered with, "Oh, damn. Who'd you piss off this time?" I gave her the summary. "Send me the breach logs," she said. "All of them. Metadata, header stamps, whatever they gave you." She looped in one of her guys and ran the logs through a forensic parser. It took 3 hours. Then she called back laughing. "They faked it," she said. "Sloppy as hell. Whoever staged the data push didn't correct the time zone offsets. Their prod environment runs UTC+0, but the access logs are marked UTC-8, internal sandbox. Probably a test account spoofed to look external. They did it on their own system. Yep, with their own dev keys. And get this, there's a system note auto tag to the wrong machine ID. The trail leads back to a senior engineer. Want to guess who? I didn't need to. We packaged everything. Timestamps, log diffs, time zone analysis, source mapping, into a 300-page counter dossier. I wrote the cover letter myself. It started with, "To the Juno Board of Directors. You've been lied to. I sent it Friday morning. By Monday, Margaret Dane had resigned for personal reasons." They didn't even try to spin it. No goodbye email, no leadership quote. Just a 2-line post on the investor page, buried under updates. I cleared my name. But the air around me changed. People I'd known for years stopped replying. Even engineers who used to come to me for help went silent. Recruiters lowballed me. Former teammates ghosted. One startup founder I'd mentored told me, "You're brilliant, but now you're radioactive." That was fine. I didn't need their comfort. I didn't need their praise. I just needed space. 2 days after Margaret vanished, I got the email. Subject line, "Let's talk." Sender, Dorian Chen. Yeah, that Dorian. Last time I saw him was 10 years ago, back at a Stanford hackathon where we tied for first. He built a real-time object classifier with 6 lines of C++ that I swore had to be black magic. I did a distributed map renderer that crashed the judge's machine. We didn't talk much then, but the rivalry was real. Now he was the CTO of Kepler.ai, a rising star in the machine learning world. Series C just closed, Forbes cover, all of it. His message was short. Watched what you did to Juno. Brutal, elegant. Come have a drink. Let's talk future. You'll like what I'm offering. The email had a time and place. Friday night, 9 p.m. Private room, Monarch Whiskey Lounge, SF. No calendar invite, no assistant. Just coordinates. I went. The lounge was tucked under a boutique hotel in Soma. Dark leather walls, candlelight, smells like wood smoke and ambition. Upstairs, a bouncer waved me through a side door. Dorian was already there, sitting alone in a room with a decanter of something older than either of us. He stood up, no pretense. Just said, "Marcus." We shook hands. "You blew up $1 billion company," he said, smiling, and didn't flinch. "I didn't blow it up," I said. "They built it on stolen parts. I just took mine back." He nodded. "Exactly." We sat. He poured. Then he got to the pitch. CTO title. You build your own division. Hiring, stack, architecture. No red tape. You get 20% equity day one. Real shares, no vesting games. We filed joint patents. You name the budget, I didn't say anything, he went on. You'll have full ownership of everything you create. We don't lock down code. You can open source anything not directly tied to product. That one nearly got me. Nearly. Then he leaned back, drink in hand, and said, "But here's the real reason I called." I looked up. "You've proven you're dangerous," he said. "Calculated, tactical. You don't just code, you fight. I'd rather you be an asset than a threat." There it was. Not respect, not partnership, control. He didn't want me free. He wanted me contained, behind his firewall, under his brand, part of his kingdom. I set my glass down. I'm not building someone else's empire again. His expression didn't change. He just nodded. Fair enough. We stood. No handshake this time. I left the same way I came in. Quiet, alone, heartbeat steady. They didn't want me because I could build. They wanted me because I could destroy. By the next morning, my inbox was full of wolves in suits. Quick sync. Would love your insight on a new platform. We believe in full autonomy here. All lies. Dorian just sent his clones. I deleted every single one without opening them. Then I opened a blank text file and named it mirror_init.bicy. No investors, no NDAS, no permission. The project was called Mirror, clean, fast, distributed architecture for real-world load. Open source from day one, transparent, modular, untouchable, owned by me. I wrote with quiet fury. 17 hours straight the first day. Just me, a cracked keyboard, and gas station coffee that tasted like battery acid. But the code was clean, and for the first time in years, every line I wrote felt like mine again. I pushed the beta to GitHub at 2:41 a.m. under my full legal name, Marcus Elijah Hale. Didn't tweet it, didn't blog, just shipped it. 3 days later, it hit GitHub trending. By the end of the week, 3 universities emailed, asking to build coursework around it. An AI startup forked it for internal testing. A team in Berlin posted a pull request with speed improvements I hadn't even thought of. Then came the DMS. Most I ignored. One came from Brett, old engineer at Juno, said he was sorry, said I was right, said he wanted to help build something real again. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Somewhere, I knew Jared was watching. watching the empire he built on my back sink into irrelevance while my name climbed without him. Margaret, she'd resurface eventually. They always do. But I'd be ready. For now, I coded in silence, the cursor blinking like a heartbeat, the room lit only by a monitor glow, and a vending machine coffee steaming beside me. Every line I wrote was mine. Every comet, a scar-turned blueprint. And this time, I wasn't building for anyone but me.